Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the LCK Playoffs 2020 Round 1 for Summer. I'm Atlas. I'm joined by the Valdanalist, and we have a unexpected best of 5 for you here today. If you weren't watching the wildcard match a couple of days ago, T1 fell to the hands of the gatekeepers, Afreeca Freecs. Afreeca, who were never able to take down a team above them during the regular season, do it at the first time of asking, and now have found themselves in playoff round 1 in this first best of 5 up against Gen.G. Valdez, what did you make of our last finals match to get us to this point?
I just don't really know how that was even possible. I don't think a single person could have logically expected the outcome that we saw a couple of days ago. And I know that, everybody here at LCK, everybody said T1 was going to win. And so now we have this really big surprise, right, with Afreeca actually making it through, which is really interesting. I just wonder, how interesting is this match going to get, right? If T1, they fall down to Afreeca after defeating them all year, or at least all split, but Afreeca make it through, maybe this next match would have just been a 3-0 Gen.G over T1, and maybe it's going to be a 3-0 over Afreeca as well, because I know a lot of us have been talking about how strong Gen.G have been looking in recent times.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's very surprising to see the playoffs run that we've had so far, and we've only had one match. It's absolutely insane. Having a look at the champion points, though, ladies and gentlemen, Darm1 will get a minimum of 120 points if they manage to come second. Of course, they are waiting in the final, so second is the lowest they can get here for Summer. So 120 points is what everybody else is trying to eclipse to make sure that they can auto-qualify for Worlds. Gen.G can do that relatively simply by continuing to win, and DRX similarly in that boat, as if they're able to finish ahead of Gen.G, and they should be okay. And that means winning in the next match, assuming Gen.G is going to make it up there. So certainly a lot of interesting stuff. Of course, ties when it comes to those championship points are broken by the team that has had the most points in Summer.
Yeah, and it's really interesting. You were talking about, actually, we do have this points of the match first that I think we're going to be getting into. This was really well produced.
Yeah,
we took a look at this earlier, so, we want to talk about it, but at the same time, we're like, wow, just watch it.
I know.
At the same time, it's really cool.
But there are certainly some interesting points of this match. Not as many funny things to talk about. Definitely a whole lot of super pog moments, though, as Gen.G have been doing a lot better than Afreeca during the regular season. I don't think there's any surprises there, as the record, as it stands, is 4-0. Gen.G come into this series 100% the favorites, and it's behind this guy. For Afreeca, it's behind Fly, but B2D, I mean, back-to-back regular season MVP or player of the game. Just really unbelievable performance so far for B2D in that mid lane.
Look at that. Someone get the camera with the stats popping up right as the wall makes it through. That was my favorite part of this whole video, actually. But, these guys have gone ahead against each other, B2D and Fly in the mid lane, 22 times, and they've broken it exactly down the middle, 11 and 11. That's pretty interesting. That will be broken today. We will have a new champion amongst the two, at least, and a huge matchup in the top lane at the same time. Rascal has been looking so consistent as of recent, and Keen, he was a little bit up and down, but I feel like he's really powering up towards the playoffs here, Atlas.
He had an absolutely phenomenal final. I mean, well, not final, first playoffs match, right? Like, he looked so good up against Canna, and I think that Rascal might have his work cut out for him, because Keen is a veteran. This guy understands the high-pressure moments, and now Afreeca has momentum. So I think that's going to be a very interesting matchup, as you can see the flash to get the Fate's Call in his jungler as he was playing that top lane Kalista that worked out so well. But here on the bottom side of the map, our two Ashe gods in Ruler and Mystic. The kiting out of Ruler, this is from a match quite early on, but his Ashe is just super good. His Kalista as well. But I mean, these are two of the picks that Mystic has certainly made a name for himself on as well. So a lot to think about when it comes to this matchup between these two very storied AD carries.
Yeah, and 29 duo kills was pretty insane as well. Don't forget about Light, absolutely doing a fantastic job supporting Ruler so far in this split. And take a look at Mystic. Had some big pop-off moments in this split and even in the wildcard match, as We're going to take a look at Gen.G's best of 5 results. So,
oh my god.
In the playoffs, they have exactly 0 victories. That is insane.
Since 2016. Are you
and then
kidding?
they always win the regional qualifier like every time. How does this happen?
That was the Cuvée buff.
Time?
That was what happened. It was the Cuvée buff for the regional qualifier. That's how Gen.G made it to Worlds so many times. Of course, winning in 2017 as well. And that was off the back of that big tank player on the top side of the map. Now it's going to be Rascal, who plays in a similar way. So I'm interested to see whether Rascal can do it a little bit earlier than Cuvée was able to by bringing the team to the World Championship without having to go through that regional qualifier. As let's have a look at some of the team stats throughout the regular season and, of course, for Afreeca in the wildcard game. I think they're going to be the stats that are most interesting, as these are the most recent ones for Afreeca, and they've definitely been focusing on that Herald, although Gen.G were very good at that as well.
Yeah, first in the entire league. That's ahead of Damwon, that's ahead of DRX, T1, every other team. And definitely some good numbers in terms of just the objective control. And Gen.G, I mean, it's crazy. They've always been known to be so consistent, especially this year. I feel like everybody on their team is just so poised in pretty much every single role. And at the same time, they struggle so much in playoffs. We'll see if they can turn that around here as we're taking a look at the predictions as we got our couple of English commentators there in the middle. Wadid says, you can't stop Ruler in life. LS saying Rock is better than Scissors, which is quite interesting.
I mean, that's also correct if you guys have ever played Rock, Paper, Scissors. Thankfully, LS has done his research, knows exactly how that game is played, and Rock does indeed beat Scissors. So
that's a great point.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, there we go. We'll see whether, DRX are going to be Paper meeting the next team in the playoffs, or whether they're not, and whether they're also going to bring Rock, because of course you can have ties in that game as well. I know my Rock, Paper, Scissors, don't you worry, but I'm looking forward to seeing
you guys have done your research.
Yeah, I know.
Man. I don't know if I could say the same.
We might have a booklet prepared by the start of Game 2, so you guys can come and check in on exactly what the rule set is for Rock, Paper, Scissors. But it has something to do with rocks, papers, and scissors, so I guess you could start there. Let's have a look at the starting lineups, as Rascal is going to be towards the top side. Clid in the jungle. BDD, our player of the game for the entire year in the mid lane, and Ruler and Life are going to be rounding out the roster. Ruler and Life have looked like the best bottom lane in the LCK recently, and we'll see whether they continue to do so here in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think absolutely right now as a duo, definitely look probably the best. I mean, you consider them maybe against like a Ghost and Beryl, but I feel like Beryl carries a lot of that weight, whereas Ghost is kind of just like holding down the fort.
Yep.
But the two of them together getting the most duo kills in Summer is also quite impressive. And take a look at the lineup here for Afreeca. Dread is going to be starting again, and the rest of them coming out as you would expect. So looking to get aggressive right from the get-go.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, Dread came in in the first game for Afreeca last time, and he was able to pick up a victory. And so let's see whether they can do it again. As Rascal up there towards the top side, he has played 2 games of the Malphite. We saw that actually in the LPL final just recently. In fact, last night for us here in Korea. It might have been the morning for you elsewhere on the planet. But the Malphite is certainly something that we should be keeping our eyes on, as Kane did find the Kalista pick once again and flex that top lane, and the rest was history in that T1 matchup.
Yeah, absolutely. This is going to be the key player matchup for sure. You take a look at Rascal. Apparently, maybe it wasn't updated yesterday, but he is second in the LCK. He's got 25 solo kills, so he's definitely that rock in the top side, but he's also getting in the face of his opponents and taking down so many of them. So here's the updated stats overall, as Rascal will slide in actually right ahead of his former top laner of Samsung and, of course, Gen.G Cuvée.
Yep, Canna, of course, made it to 28, but was unable to topple Marin's 31 solo kill record. I believe it was 36 if you included solo kills in the playoffs that year. And that was, of course, 2015 summer. That was the year they went plus 29, much like Damwon did this year. That was a basically unstoppable SKT after, of course, the Korean exodus heading over to the LPL for a lot of those players.
Yeah.
Of course, that is history. This is today, and this is going to be the bottom lane matchup, Ruler versus Mystic. You can see Definitely some shared champions for both of them. The Kalista worth looking out for Ruler, but also for Mystic. It's not actually there, but Mystic has played a lot of games of Kalista, and we've seen her banned against Afreeca Freecs in the majority of their matches as well. So definitely keep your eye out there. As the 11-2 Ashe record's pretty impressive for good old Ruler.
It is, and it's going to be interesting to see if either of them get that today. And just taking a look at these stats and the way that the end of summer has been going, I think you kind of currently have to give the crown of best AD carry in the LCK over to Ruler. I mean, the guy has just been insanely consistent, carries his team even when, you know, the other lanes fail, and hasn't really had many bad games. I mean, this guy, it's hard to get first in pretty much every single stat along the way.
Yeah.
As you can see, their nice little setup here, getting ready for the games. Here's Gen.G.
Ruler has also done the most damage in the LCK. His damage per minute is the highest in the entire league, which is just nuts because Darmon's in the league, yeah. and he's not on the team. It's just absolutely insane. Yeah. As we head over to the Freak Up studio, here's Gen.G. Here's Afreeca Freecs once again back at it, I believe. Unless they are somewhere else this time. That's where they were last time, and I'm pretty sure that this was a similar camera angle.
Looks the same, so I would assume that's there. Oh, we're back to Gen.G, okay. They've got some pretty cool computers, by the way.
Are they computers or are they spaceships?
It's kind of hard to tell. I mean, maybe Gen.G is going to start the next space enterprise, but maybe this is their foreshadowing or some hints they're trying to give us, because those are some pretty sick lighting setups as well alongside in that room. As you can see, Afreeca have more of the studio feel. Exactly.
Well, let's do it. Let's get into a ban and pick for game number 1. Gen.G did have side selection. They chose blue side. Absolutely no surprise to anyone. And they will be banning first. Afreeca will have to wait on the red side until game 2, where they will have the choice. Likely they will choose blue side, but we saw Top Esports. They chose red side and they won in that best of 5. So we'll see whether it is going to be similar for Afreeca. Is Caitlyn going to be that first ban here by Gen.G?
Yeah, Caitlyn goes down. Set also goes down here on the side of Afreeca. And we saw 2 key matchups. But, we saw the top lane, we saw the AD carry role, but there are a couple of, big picks for some of the other players, right? Like BD Zazir, obviously, right? As I say that, they do ban it. That is definitely something that I think Afreeca are going to want to keep tabs on. There's a reason why when we were introducing BDD, there were about 5 Azir highlights in a row.
Yeah.
And, not much else. He's really good at Zoe, too. But Azir definitely his big champion.
I think Zoe's going to be really important in this series because Fly had probably one of his best performances in Game 3 against T1, and it was on that Zoe, so it might be something to look out for.
Yeah, for sure. The TF does get taken away, as does Senna, so they're not going to let Ruler take that pick. And Rascal is a huge Renekton player at the same time, and the Renekton priority has gone through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
Now, I don't know if they would consider first picking it here.
They absolutely would.
Rascal, yeah, I think you're right. They would definitely consider it. That is for sure. Are they going to do it? Looks like maybe they're just going to pick up Volibear for Clid. I think that's a solid choice as well, especially with set banned, which is a very common response to the Volibear.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't mind it. The Lightning Bear coming in, keeping your cards a little bit closer to your chest by taking that one. Afreeca can go towards the Crocodile if they would like to, but with Lucian available, Jace available, there are a lot of options into it. So you can understand why Gen.G straight away and why Afreeca might choose to go somewhere else instead. Ashe is up, and there's no Caitlyn or Senna to contend with, so it might be a good option. As we are going full LPL here today, as Dread is going to pick up the Graves. Certainly not exactly the most winningest champion here in the LCK, but if you look over in China, it works very, very well. So obviously we've done something wrong. We haven't figured it out, and Dread is going to start this game by sinning on that Graves. Let's see what he picks away for the rest of his team.
Yeah, Graves slowly but surely coming back into the meta. This does happen many times in the playoffs, and there's the Ashe you were talking about. We mentioned how this is going to be very high priority for both of these AD carries. And even with Kalista available, you're not really 100% sure that you want to pick it up here straight into the Ashe because of the laning phase. and especially with the Nautilus band at the same time, which might have been targeted at that duo in the bottom side. But with Renekton available, that seems like a pretty obvious choice. What else are they going to pick alongside it?
Not entirely sure. Of course, Renekton Volibear isn't necessarily as explosive as the Renekton Nidalee that we see so often. It can still work out. Of course, you can just layer a lot more CC this time. You just don't quite have as much damage. As this is a pick that was super important in the wildcard match, and the Akali is going to be locked in for BDD. I mean, this is like cards are face up on the table here for Gen.G. They are just holding onto their bottom lane, and they're just going with comfort this time. They're not even worrying about what Afreeca are picking.
Yeah, it's very interesting. This is, again, another, it was a big pick in the wild card, but it's also a huge pick for BDD. And so he's going to pick that one up after his Azir gets banned. No showing of the Zoe just yet, just totally ignored. So Fly maybe deciding he wants to go for something else. I also wouldn't be surprised if Gen.G used one of their second bans on that pick, as Keen is going to pick up his Mordekaiser. Definitely a big fan of that champion. And now with no 80 carry or support pick for Gen.G, I think Afreeca have their pick of the 80 carry litter that they would love to ban away from Ruler.
Yeah, Ruler's going to not have too many things that he can play. Of course, he does have a very extensive champion pool, but not having Ezreal is going to be a big deal. And we'll see what their next ban is going to be. You'd expect that Afreeca are pretty happy with the Kalista matchup, so they may not actually ban that one away at all.
Yeah.
And Keen might even pick it, because, he's playing top lane. Fly could play mid lane Mordekaiser, like, who knows what's going to happen.
The Fly can play anything, man. He's going to pick up the team one of these days.
Absolutely.
There is the Kalista, though. They are actually going to say, he's actually, he's still too good on that pick, even though we could probably, handle it in the lane.
A lot of people seem to think that the Kalista is actually fine into the Ashe. I feel like she struggles in that lane quite a lot, but maybe I've got a slightly different read than these players. And of course, Ruler's Kalista needs to be respected, and with the extra power it gives life. Makes it a little bit dangerous, as there's the Tahm Kench ban away from Ben. Also Karma taken away, the Ashe Karma duo, pretty powerful. I'm expecting a support pick here. Valdez?
Yeah, you would assume that. There were some supports that were taken away, the Tahm Kench, the Nautilus taken away here. And with Jace being hovered, which is very interesting. I mean, you don't have to show this just yet. But I guess because they already know what's going mid and top, they're like, well, actually, let's just save support counter pick, because we can't counter, we already have the counter essentially in the top side, whereas we don't know what their support or their bottom lane is even going to be. So they're like, hey, let's just, let's save counter pick for this. And I, for one, am very curious to see what they're going to go for. Are they just going to pick up Jhin, which is very popular nowadays?
Nope.
No, Ruler's going back to Kai'Sa.
Wow.
0-6.
It's definitely not the greatest pick here in the LCK at the moment. Felt like a trap. There's like a week there when we saw a lot of Kai'Sa picks and she did absolutely nothing, and we weren't exactly sure why she was being picked.
Yeah.
So let's see what Ruler does have planned for this one. Life.
Make us a believer.
Yeah.
That's the real question.
Well, let's see what Life has for us as well. This was a popular bottom lane, the Kai'Sa Gragas. Certainly a lot of follow-up when it comes to landing casks and body slams and things like that. And Life's Gragas is fantastic. So looking forward to seeing what he can show us. I'm looking forward to also seeing where Jace and Mordekaiser are going, because currently they can go in top or mid, and I don't know whether I like them in either. As you could expect, Jace into Renekton, that's a good matchup. But I don't know whether I like Mordekaiser into Akali that much. I guess the Death Realm does help pin her down.
Yeah, I do agree with you in terms of the matchups. I just think that Keen is such a huge fan of the Mordekaiser that I would assume he would hop onto it. But as I'm saying that, they actually do swap it around once again. So maybe Fly has been practicing that, trying to give a bit of flex potential to his team and making it not just a Keen pick. And down to the wire, looks like it is actually going to be Fly on the Mordekaiser into the mid lane. And they're going to have those two very strong laners, Renekton versus Jace, up in the top.
This reminds me of the good old days where you'd play Mordekaiser in the mid lane. It was beautiful times. You'd build a force of nature, and you'd just be the
What's
best.
That,
I know, exactly.
It's like you're explaining to kids what a cassette tape is or something. Like,
yeah.
A force of nature.
Yeah. What's an Atari?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I digress. Mordekaiser in the mid lane this time is just to try and go up against BDD's Akali and survive. You also do have some kill threat if you can get her out of position and then put her in a death realm and stop her from being able to jump around everywhere. Of course, Mordekaiser definitely having a lot of staying power with the amount of healing that he does have in his kit with his W, also the shielding if anything does go wrong. So I'm very interested to see what Afreeca can make with this sort of double top laner composition, but let's get into it. Gen.G starting off on blue. They'll make their way out live with Hillbilly Gragas. A shout out to Score here in the finals.
By the way, you've been calling every stage the finals. I know it feels that way.
I know, it's like, I say finals instead of playoffs, and I always have for every single tournament ever.
You're just really excited.
I don't know, maybe my parents were just terrible at understanding tournament format, because maybe. I just think that it means the same thing as playoffs.
Well, I mean, it's the final part of the tournament.
It's the final, tournament of the year. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah?
I'm not entirely sure.
Not technically, but...
Do you know what? They're going to have to take me off the broadcast for the next one, and so that then I can just come on and do the finals, so I can actually just say finals.
So you can call it the finals.
Yeah.
Call the real thing the finals.
You only have to deal with it for the next, couple of hours or something like that, Valdez. I think it will be fine.
Uh-huh.
As Ruler hasn't chosen a skin.
Hours.
What's going on? Kaiser's got some really cool skins, and Ruler's just gone full Faker on it.
Yeah, maybe he's like, well, this is a tribute to Faker. I will not wear a skin for this match and this match alone. This Rascal.
Yeah, he's
interesting.
Taking most of his health bar, but BDD's going to come in. There's the 5-point strike. Dread actually trying to get some damage down here. Quick draw. Live comes in. He should find a body slam and does get it. But in the meantime, Keen is just going to be taken down. First blood goes over to BDD. Start the yakety sax, Valdez. This is a very weird game already. As Rascal, he does have flash, but I think he's taken Culver Meek. As now Dread is behind enemy lines, but not in the cool way. And Rascal picks up a second kill for it. Gen.G on the Renekton.
Oh, I love that Ruler. At the same time, he throws up sad Zoe and then laughs at them. He's like, all right, guys, welcome to the finals, as Atlas would say it.
Oh, God.
I don't know what they were thinking. Just, they didn't have anyone up there in the top side. And you can see the damage dealt. Most of that Graves damage was directly into the Renekton, who was healing a bunch back with his Q. And this is going to make the lane a little bit harder for Rascal. As you can see, Keen was able to get up here first, which means that he will double 2 first, and Jace is very oppressive in those lanes. So Renekton not able to get the greatest start, but I mean, 2 kills. They're still going to be really happy with that, of course.
Oh,
so
absolutely.
As long as Rascal can be just, calm and farm it out under his turret, I think Gen.G already have a massive lead in this one.
They do. It's to the tune of about 700 gold. As I'm just going to defend myself a little bit while Life is unable to. Has to body slam himself to safety. But it's called semi-finals and quarter-finals. This is technically quarter-finals.
True.
Therefore, it's still finals. So,
yeah.
I'd say look, there was a friend of mine in chat, and he stood up for me, so I was very happy about that.
That's a great point, Alex. I've never thought of that before.
Yeah, see, there we go. Finals. There it is.
It's all part of the finals.
Mm-hmm.
And the quarterfinals is just 1/8 of the importance of the finals, or not
exactly. They're all just fractions of finals. Okay.
Wow, we said we wouldn't do math on stream before, and I just called a quarter an eighth. So anyway,
oh yikes!
Into this game.
That's all right.
BDD's going to be having fun. Notice that Dread, after all this, actually was able to get into the enemy jungle and steal away the Raptors.
Ooh, that was
there has
cute.
been a lot of trading.
Yeah, BDD backflips out of the way of the Obliterate quite nicely. As Dread's just going to ignore everything that's happening and just wander over towards his chicken camp. As now Keen's in trouble. Oh dear. Skystrike comes down, and that is a very dead Jace.
Yeah, the thing about this duo is they're eventually going to both be really nice and tanky, but even in the early game, they do have some really great gank potential just because of the double stun, which is pretty long. Not quite the damage output, I guess, but if you can land the Storm Strike, it is definitely not so bad. Some more trading down here at the bottom lane.
Yeah, Life tanking it up quite nicely, though, and he does have some sustain as he just drinks himself. into a better health bar situation. Looks like Ruler's coping pretty well, though. As he throws down a Q, lands it on Mystic, who will get to level 4 and increase his health bar just a little bit also. But very, very even, and that's basically all Gen.G needs to do as life moves on over. And Ben's not going to have much in order to answer this Freljordian bottom lane. Definitely wanting to wait until maybe mid to, you know, later stages of the game. You know, Braum not exactly fantastic in the laning phase. But we'll see what Ben can actually get done.
Yeah. And just taking a look at this composition from Gen.G, it really shows the evolution of the LCK from only scaling compositions and sitting back and waiting and not doing anything. Especially for a team like Gen.G, on Samsung is. Oh, yep. That thought.
There's a flash in. Mystic getting taken down low, but the same can be said for Life, who is going to have his namesake removed. Now Ruler trying to escape from Dread as end of the line. Isn't exactly that for the AD carry, but the support will go down for Afreeca's first kill of this quarterfinal.
Yeah, so Dread gets killed as essentially first blood. It was second blood, and he has a very late start to his jungle and all that. Comes down and makes a real difference down on the bottom side. They actually bait them into going for that kill. You could see Mystic just standing out in the middle of nowhere. They're going to go for this kill as well.
Yeah, Ruler no summoners either, as Ben is going to stand beside Dread, as Ruler actually going to escape here as Clid runs down, and there are so many options! Oh my god, Stormstrike will take down the Graves. Ruler will survive as well. Double kill for Clid, as now Fly and BDD are fighting, but it looks like BDD's just bullying Fly. Will get the flash out in the 1v1, flashes forward, gets the kill, and he's gonna trade in the end.
We got another fight up here on the top side.
Yeah, I guess I'll play-by-play that one as well. You could have felt free to pick that one up, Valdez, because of course,
did, yeah.
when things are this insane, it's just lucky that we've got a couple of play-by-plays, but it's just some dirty farming here by Rascal. No real action.
So much stuff happened. I mean, these guys must have been watching LPL yesterday.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
This is just insanity. Like, Afreeca just going crazy down on the bottom side, thinking that, oh yeah, 3-on-1 dive should be easy. But then, of course, Graves showing that. But look at this bait. They're like, oh yeah, the W actually misses from Ruler. And I think that would have probably killed Mystic, or at least he would have stayed, try to get that last hit, and then go for it. But what happens is Ruler gets sent alone, and then you're like, oh, they're probably going to kill him. Well, nope, it's Graves. You just kite around the turret, and take a look at this. We got Volibear coming in, we got the TP, which gets, by the way, interrupted by Mordekaiser putting the Akali into the death realm, but it doesn't matter, because
yeah, she also put him into the death realm. Yeah, we're fighting on the bottom side again. This is going to be another gank from Clid and a double kill for Ruler. I think this is how the Kai's is supposed to work. You're supposed to start the game like 2-0, and then you're going to be fine.
Yeah, it certainly helps.
Yeah.
There's more trading up in the top side, Atlas.
Yeah, is it trading or is it just a crocodile trying to eat a person? And
yeah,
you know, we all know how that one goes. Crocodile versus human, not necessarily one that a human's going to win all that well, especially with proximity to a river like this.
Yeah. And we're taking a look at some of Rascal's stats, as it says he is like a top lane soloer. And yeah, just he's got so many consistent numbers. You see the lane kills, solo kills at 15. He's got the most, even more than Kana. So getting a lot of them in the laning phase. BDD might just kill Fly here.
He does have the second ultimate. Death Realm comes down though as Fly. Oh, he will die. And Tribute is going to allow BDD to stay alive. Oh man, he's just, he's styling. He's styling today. BDD looking for a playoffs player of the game as well as the regular season for 2 seasons in a row. Now Dread comes in, going to be able to take down this control ward. Life and Ruler, they do not want to give that one up, but avoids the barrel. Oh no, oh my god. That's a lot of damage.
Yeah.
This is that serrated dirt build that we see.
Yeah. It's pretty insane damage coming out of the Kaiser right now. She's 2-0 at, well, she was 2-0 at like 7 minutes.
Yeah.
Now it's 9.5 minutes. Dread is like, well, I'm trying my very best to get something done given the lane state. And it does look like, by the way, that Fly and Keen have switched lanes. They've swapped. So
I mean, they may as well. They're both top laners. Technically, is all right. I might practice in the break, see whether we can get something working, and then I can show you guys if you still care as we go into game 2. But here we are, guys. We're back. We've done it. We're just before the dragon, which is going to be taken. As Life and Rule are moving on over, this is cheeky, isn't it? Because they know that Dread's there.
Yeah, and there's no way for them to challenge it, right? So why did we have to? Okay, yeah, that's why we were discussing like how many seconds to put it on, I guess.
Void Seeker challenge. There we go.
Well, after after a couple of games, Atlas, I think maybe you're gonna have to give us an Ocarina concert.
There's the Ocarina waiting room. It's gonna be the Ocarina waiting room until the end of this series.
Yeah.
Well, we've got still that 3,000 gold. Let's do a bit of a taking stock of the situation, because I know that we had a conversation about cats, ocarinas, all sorts of weird stuff, and we haven't really focused on the game too much. It is a 3,000 gold lead for Gen.G. Things went horrifically wrong for Afreeca on the top side of the map very, very early before the minions had spawned. Dread died, in between the inner and outer turrets of the top lane of Gen.G, and that is generally a suboptimal situation for your jungler in the early game. As you can see, also, BDD is beating Fly by a lot of farm, and Life likes throwing barrels around, and in goes a big old bear ruler, jumping behind Mystic. And is this a replay? Because it looks very similar to his last double kill, and it is going to play out exactly the same way, apart from Life stealing away one of them.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good Unbreakable, but at the same time, might have to hold that thought. They're trying to bait BDD into this, but BDD, it looks like he saw Dread, and so, well, he definitely sees him now. Yeah. And yeah, nothing's going to come of that. But yeah, I mean, good Unbreakable from Ben, but it just did not matter because they're just so fed. As we got more fighting up in the top lane, Rascal is going to get over the wall.
Yep, that's going to be absolutely fine. As Clid comes down, he's going to deliver Ruler, a whole bunch of money. And Shelly's going to grab them the first turret of the game at 11.5 minutes.
What's going on
It's getting worse, Valdez. It's getting worse.
Yeah. Ben is just like, well, actually, I don't want to support Mystic anymore, so I'm going to come mid.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do this in my solo queue games.
Is there someone else I can support for this one?
Ben is going to eventually go down there and soak some of the XP there. But you can see what happens here. Ben is going to get the shield up, but it's still going to land. But it actually pushes them both away. It still doesn't matter, though, because it's Kai'Sa. And this is what Kai'Sa's really good at. We don't see a lot of great Kai'Sa in the LCK as,
another solo kill for BDD. Wants to get himself a pog point as the arrow is going to cascade forward. BDD probably should die here as Smokescreen goes down. And he is able to backflip away. Oh my god. Okay, the Graves is going to be able to lock that one down in the end. BDD, no flash, no ulti, no chance to escape from that one. But he's now 4-2-0. And his opponent is 0-3, and that's 2 solo kills so far in this lane. I'd say still a net positive for the Gen.G player of the game mid laner.
Yeah, I think it's okay. I think Gen.G are in an all-right position right now. As we are going to see the kill here, Death Realm and Flash are available, and Fly is just forced to use it. And even with Dread nearby, still able to just get in there. He is so fed at this point in time as the arrow sails wide and there are a million enemies around him, but he dies valiantly. He wastes a lot of time, by the way, and eventually even King gets frustrated. He's like, come on guys, like, are you not gonna kill him? Do I have to take the kill? And so delays a little bit of the push down on the bottom side, some of the farming from Dread, and the Hextech Gunblade is already done here from BDD compared to just the Proto Belt of Fly. This is not a very equal lane state.
Definitely not. This is Gen.G feeling very happy. Level 11 before Fly as well, as the Death Grip does come through. And Fly bringing up that passive actually isn't doing too badly here. But he's going to hop over and move towards the river potentially. Actually just looking for vision. As you can see, top side of the map, Gen.G absolutely owns. They've got a circle around the red buff. And that means basically that Dread is just not allowed to really go towards his top side. As Renekton's moving towards bottom, you've got a bear and a Gragas towards this mid lane. As now Fly moves into the river, dangerous territory. He's a big old Mordekaiser. He'll be fine.
Fly chill as always.
Yeah.
Doesn't care
Just
about
cruising.
the lane state. or the game say. He's just going to give you the thumbs up and walk by. And you can see that Gen.G are setting up for this engage. Ruler and Clid can engage at the drop of a hat pretty much whenever. And meanwhile, it is 3-on-4 as we got a fight down here.
Yeah, Fly and Rascal fighting one another as Fly's going down pretty low. Protobelts doesn't get any damage for it and then just gets culled. That's what happens when you fight a 2-0 Renekton. At 14 minutes into the game, Clid now in maybe a little bit of trouble, but no, he's just going to be able to wander out, and BDD in the meantime is just taking in an inner turret. Earlier, as the hitbox on Ash Arrow has like gotten smaller this game, I swear to God.
Well, they needed a lot of help, and Ash Arrow isn't helping out. I'm not sure if they could have even done anything, even if that did land. It just feels like desperation right now for Afreeca. They're like, we desperately need to get something, as BDD is solo pushing top lane. Already so many of the structures have gone down, and this Infernal is also going to go the way of Gen.G, as here's the solo kill. Pretty straight up. Yep. Still just walks at him. He's got the shield break because it is Renekton, so it's very good against Mordekaiser.
Yeah, look, it's not Mordekaiser's Death Realm. It's definitely Rascal's in that instance.
Yeah,
pretty
much anybody else's.
It's real scary.
They're all living rent-free in the Death Realm, enjoying their time. And this series looks very different to the one that we saw a couple of days ago. Of course, guys, I don't want you to get too ahead of yourselves. It's just game number 1, and the early game before even the minions spawned kind of led us to get into this game state. So we'll see how Afreeca can do on a more even playing field.
Let's just say that this game, if it was a scrim, would have been cancelled at 3 minutes. Almost 100%.
For sure.
End of the line is going to come through. Half the health bar of life has been taken, as Clid as well. It's going to walk away from Dread at the moment on the Riot Graves. Void Seeker doesn't find the mark as life gets tagged by the volley, but he'll be fine. He's a very nimble hillbilly. And as Rascal over here gets a pretty good trade onto Keen, who's still farming nicely on the Jace. That's certainly something. Whether it's enough is another question.
Yeah. Do you see the Gragas attack over the wall? That was pretty funny. With his W.
No.
It's that little bit of extra attack range.
I think I missed that one.
I believe. And we got all the teleports coming in now. Just taking down turrets. There's nobody here in the bottom side.
Yes, the classic Akali Renekton split push combo.
Yeah, well, they're so far ahead. It's like, well,
yeah, it doesn't matter
what
which
else are you gonna do.
They are. It could have been all for one mid, and it'd still be the same thing.
And I don't really know why he teleported mid. You know, it's either you give the mid tier 1 or you give the bot tier 2. Just not many great trades for Afreeca to take right now, I suppose.
Yeah. I mean, they're a bit fresh out of good options as Clid. Looking for the dive. This is massive. In goes Ruler. Killer Instinct is going to be there as Ben. Yeah, that shield was going the wrong direction. Definitely some low health bars as life goes down to about 200 as now BDD misses the shuriken and Clid's trying to escape, but he's not going to be able to. Now Dread getting chased by Ruler. And BDD in his shroud wants to get out, does so as Keen's going to get executed. Death Realm comes through. We'll see whether BDD can keep himself alive as he runs to the edge, but he's not able to get out. And Fly is going to be able to get a decent shutdown there. They're still down 8,000 gold. Afreeca's still in trouble, but being able to kill BDD must have felt good.
Yeah, maybe give them a little bit of a morale boost before game number 2, because that's about all they've got for now. So many items completed on everybody on the side of Gen.G. Really fast flash, but the slow comes in.
Yeah, immediately the flash afterwards as well, as Mystic is going to be able to land it. And Ruler, yeah, he gives up. He knows that he's dead, and Gen.G maybe getting a little bit ahead of themselves in this game, as they just had a all-team brain fade moment. And let's have a look at this replay once again.
Yeah, I mean, you're not safe under your mid-tier 1, which is why I was a little bit confused as to why they tried so hard to save it, because this is an amazing tower diving comp with Volibear and Gragas, and they're able to get over there. Nice disable on the turret. Clid still dies to the turret shot, which is kind of funny. BDD, you're thinking maybe they're going to get him right here. Actually flashes a bit of the damage that was coming out to make sure that he could pick up the kill. Still goes down. And like you said, you know, it's Well, we actually didn't get to see this, so let's see how Dread goes down.
If he goes down. No, he does go down. He gets shot by skills that Kai'Sa has. Surprise, surprise. And this was Ruler deciding to die.
Yeah. Bit unfortunate. He was just reacting as fast as he could. Probably had his mouse down there. We got another fight in the top lane.
Yep. Fly's going to get sliced, diced, and he's going to have to flash away if he wants to keep himself alive. Dread gets a fair bit of damage there onto the Crocodile, but otherwise he's not too worried about it. Shock Blast. Really going to chunk the bottom lane of Gen.G here. As Mystic, he's running out of turrets to stand under, to be perfectly honest. Rascal looking to try and finish this one off, and BDD certainly did a pretty good job when it comes to softening this inner turret on the top side. End of the line is going to help take that one down, and Dread will clear out the last remaining minion. So, the tower survives on just a sliver, but 7,000 gold still the lead. And Gen.G in all of the control here at 20 minutes as it just ticks over. And there goes the turret. Now Rascal trying to fight off against Keen here as the arrow is going to sail into the nether, but Keen is able to pick up the kill on the Crocodile. Nothing really that Clid could do about it. Stormstrike goes down, gets itself a bit of damage there as Ruler isn't going to be able to find the Void Seeker as ulti into the backline. Mystic gets destroyed. Another fantastic cast from Life as Keen is going to get taken down, and now BDD's found himself into the fight. Ben also going to be taken down. It's a double kill for the Akali, and Gen.G find their opportunity and they strike.
Yeah, that's gotta hurt. They all got surrounded. They're chasing way too far down the lane after picking up the kill. I think you get the Renekton and try to back. I mean, you got so many shutdowns, but either way, they get caught out. The high mobility of the Gen.G composition is able to catch up. You can see how the Kai'Sa loves this composition. Rascal is really angry with love a kill here.
Yep, looking to try and take down Fly here. Underneath the turret as the Death Realm does come in. Rascal's going to move out of turret range, but the Death Realm comes forward. Let's see whether he can keep himself alive here. Colomite comes through, tries to get out of the way, but isn't able to.
He throws up the Longju. All right, well.
I mean, Rascal was a former Longju player, theoretically. I think it was actually King Zone perplexing at the time.
Yeah, well, here's the Rascal trying to kill the turret. So he reaches for two things in a row, actually. Reaches for the turret, reaches for the kill onto the Mordekaiser later on. And the good thing about it, I suppose, is that he baited the entire enemy team, minus Fly, into dying. So he just said, great bait, mate, and gets in there. Does a good job. Here's Dread now.
Yep, Dread's found Life, and BDD has also found them as collateral damage comes forward. BDD going to ult himself over the wall. 5-point strike going to finish that one off all too easy. There for the Akali, who is mega fed. 8 and 3. Has double penetration items as well as a Zhonya's and X-Tech Gunblade. Good God, he's just so massive. That's too many items.
So, oh man, that's crazy.
Can Ben and Keen actually kill Rascal is the question, and the answer from Afreeca is no. They're going to need Fly here as well. Death's Grasp comes forward, but it's not going to be able to land as now Rascal, with Winter's Bite on him, he's still going to be able to make his way out. And yeah, Concussive Blow is not actually able to be procced either, so yeah, escapes. And in the meantime, as the Baron was taken from earlier, the arrow just avoided by the supercharged Kai'Sa.
That's gotta feel bad.
Yeah, this doesn't have much longer, does it, Valdez?
Yeah. Should probably avert your eyes if you are feeling a little bit queasy right now, as it is a mega stomp here in game number 1. This is not a close game by any means.
In goes BDD, but Dread throws down the collateral damage. BDD's very tanky at the moment, as now Rascal with the Dominus popped. He's going to get stunned most likely as the flash forward. Winter's Bite comes down. Cold the Meek not going to do anything, but in the meantime, these Nexus turrets are going to be taken very, very low. Only one of them remaining. As Keen teleported in, there's the ulti from Clid. In goes Ruler with the Killer Instinct, and it is exactly that. Dread on his Fountain. Ben, I mean, he's got the Slay out. He's looking forward to Christmas, but not for the League of Legends. Probably for the presence, as the Nexus will be taken down. Ruler is going to grab all of the kills and the kill on the Nexus, and throws up the Samsung Galaxy logo. Gen.G, I mean, the only reason this game was really long was because we were paused for like 45 minutes in the middle.
That was like a normal game length, except with the pause and the podcasts and everything.
Yeah.
Afreeca are going to have to take a long look at themselves after that one, because the level 1 didn't seem like there was much communication. Fly wasn't there. They were going way too deep. They didn't have wards to see where the enemy was. The two of them get caught. They get to their lanes and jungle very late. And of course, Renekton is going to be okay, even though he did show up a little bit late up in the top side. And then that wasn't the end. Gen.G just kind of smurfed on them in all lanes after that to make it an incredibly one-sided game. And I guess that's why we play best of fives from here on out, right? You get one, you get two little mix-up games, and then you can just, maybe try to get things going for your team.
Yeah, and I think everyone has these games. I don't think this is something to say that, Afreeca are a really terrible team and Gen.G are just going to do this every single game. Things went horribly wrong for them in the early game, and it happens to a lot of teams. That's why best of ones are so volatile. It's because if that happens, you don't get to see necessarily the potential of both of the teams represented at the same time. Something went catastrophically wrong, and Gen.G just got out to the early lead and snowballed it through. I'm not going to take away anything from Gen.G. I think they were able to nurture the snowball very effectively, but it doesn't necessarily show us what Afreeca are capable of. This is the moment that I'm referring to.
Yeah, I mean, the dash over the wall means that Dread is dead unless he flashes, like right now, because he sees the other two. But instead he's like, well, let's try to make something of this. Maybe I can kill Rascal. Fly, you can see, is very late, and Dread goes down. And then right from there, I mean, if Renekton gets a nice gank in the early game, you're going to have a good game on Renekton anyway, but he had already gotten the one kill. This is the one moment.
Yeah.
The one moment of the game, that's it, that Afreeca looked okay. And it was a bait. Dread was in the right spot at the right time. But that was it.
Yeah, not too many other positive moments. Clid's positioning, very, very good this game. The teleport in was cancelled, like we spoke about before, but that spelled the end of the Mordekaiser. Also, as we can see this moment, BDD just playing some pretty immaculate Akali and finding that perfect execution on the ulti. Very, very nicely done. There was a trade kill before that, which was the result of that, the result of the teleport being cancelled. As Rascal is just going to kill an underfed Mordekaiser pretty comfortably, as this dive was odd from Gen.G. They were trying to swing their money around a little bit more than I think they necessarily should have, but that's okay. And for DOG Valdez, do you have to give it to BDD, or do you think that Life's Gragas was just super good? Do you think Clid's positioning was good?
I gave it to Clid, yeah. I think that Clid just did way too much in the early game, right? Like, there are early game leads from, invades and weird level 1 shenanigans, and then there are the insane leads that you give your team by following up on that, by doing pretty much 3 pristine ganks. And so that's why I'm going to give it to him. I think BDD, he's definitely a really fantastic Akali player, but he kind of just got himself fed, whereas I think Clid had many different effects on many different lanes and had a fantastic performance on the jungle Volibear. And yeah, as you were saying, it was kind of like by the end of this game, like Gen.G it didn't even look like they were playing a serious, they weren't trying to hold it in and play super safe. They're just like, everything's out, all the guns are out, let's just go in there and flex on them. And that's actually something good, to get into the mental game, to get into the heads of your opponents, because if I'm Afreeca, I'm feeling pretty bad after losing that kind of game.
100%. You can see the gold lead certainly went up very linearly for Gen.G. And there was a Mountain Drake that was taken by Afreeca, so they escaped the perfect game by getting a couple of kills here and there, a tower, things like that. But it did really feel like Gen.G ran away with it. 24 minutes was on the clock. For us, it felt like more like 54 minutes, but just 24, a shellacking in game number 1 from Gen.G, and I'm looking forward to seeing what Afreeca can do as they move to potentially the other side of the rift. Remember, guys, side selection works. It's not like they swap. It's that now Afreeca gets to choose which side of the rift they're going to be on. I expect them to be on blue as we return from a very short break. We'll see you then.